Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we are here live at the World Trade Center for a multi-state operator panel. Today, my guests include Wes Abney, Justin Ruiz, Jerry Derevyanny, and Kacey Morrissey. Wes is the mad genius behind the Northwest Leaf, a cannabis magazine prioritizing the patient's voice. Co-founded in Seattle in 2010, they celebrated their 100th issue last October, and they'll celebrate their 9th anniversary next month in June. Northwest Leaf, Oregon Leaf, and Alaska Leaf are monthly magazines that cover cannabis from every angle. The magazine has been a leader in providing high-quality journalism, photography, and a web hub for both the recreational and medicinal marijuana community. In July of 2014, Wes expanded with the Oregon Leaf, and in 2016 launched Alaska Leaf, then recently expanded to the East Coast with the Maryland Leaf. Wes is also the co-host of the Leaf Life podcast, as well as a cannabis producer-processor in Washington, Alaska, Oregon, and Nevada, with access to over 1,000-store distribution channel, making cannabis-infused edibles called Leafchews and a medical version called Leafchews. Next up is Justin Ruiz, owner of Hypeherbally Cannabis Shop. Justin has been heavily involved in the cannabis space since 1999 when he got involved with HempFest, first as a fellow protester, and then he began supporting the event through vending in 2007. In 2011, Justin established Hypeherbally, a medical marijuana dispensary, recently reopened as a 21 and over licensed cannabis rec shop. Justin is proud to have helped pioneer the Washington cannabis industry as we know it today, and has been busy creating a lifestyle brand around Hypeherbally, named #1 name in Washington State by the Seattle Times. Last year, Justin and Wes launched a shuttle tour service together called Higher Than a Space Shuttle. Justin, thanks for coming on board. From New York commercial litigator to general counsel of the largest recreational company in Washington State, Jerry Derevyanny is the executive vice president of corporate development and director of Cannex Capital Group. Cannex was founded in 2017 and is managed by a team of experienced industry and capital markets experts who are committed to aggressive, cost-effective growth. Cannex facilitates growth through cash flow from operations, strategic acquisitions, partnerships, and by leveraging the expertise of its experienced operational team. Cannex provides a range of comprehensive and flexible growth options for licensed cannabis cultivators, processors, and or rec shops domestically and internationally, including providing turnkey real estate with operational infrastructure as well as long-term advisory and consulting services. Cannex is a publicly traded company listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CNNX. And remotely, today we have Kacey Morrissey with us. She's the Director of Industry Analytics at New Frontier Data. Educated as an engineer with experience in institutional asset management, Morrissey brings a unique blend of technical analytical abilities, intuitive market awareness, and a high-level understanding of institutional risk management to the cannabis industry. Since joining New Frontier Data in 2015, she's developed economic models to produce some of the most accurate and widely quoted industry market projections in the legal cannabis industry, as well as produce the first preliminary analysis of global cannabis demand. Prior to joining New Frontier, Morrissey was a senior investment analyst at the Hershey Trust Company, where she was responsible for public and private equity investment, due diligence, and analysis for the Trust's $12 billion investment portfolio. Today's multi-state operator panel is hosted at the World Trade Center. The World Trade Center in Tacoma grows trade and investment by providing direct access to the largest business network in the world with 300 offices in 99 countries. The World Trade Center in Tacoma is the lone trade service for the Pacific Northwest. The seminars, award ceremonies, and conferences can generate contacts and contracts. Trade research can clarify opportunities, and their matchmaking can turn those opportunities into trade. The e-commerce export store has partnered with Alibaba and is translated into 18 languages with about 40,000 unique visitors every month, giving your product an opportunity to be seen globally. We're definitely seeing the opportunities, may not be local businesses, but according to New Frontier data, it looks like the number of states that are leading the multi-state operator is Acreage Holdings. I'm not sure if this is still true with some recent M&As, but it looks like at the time that this was released, they had 19 states, Acreage Holdings. MedMen had 12, Cureleaf had 11, Green Thumb had 10. And so the average number of dispensary licenses held by a multi-state operator is 61, and the average market cap of multi-state operators is 1.64 billion. And so there's definitely some opportunities, but I'm not seeing a lot of companies take advantage of them. So Justin, Washington State recently tried to implement rule changes that would have affected over 70% of the edibles market and would have resulted in higher compliance costs and potentially lost market share. One company is suing the Idaho State Police over seizure of 7,000 pounds of hemp mistaken for cannabis. So ultimately, whether it's avoiding potential farm bill confusions when shipping CBD or just general advice, what can you tell companies in emerging cannabis markets how to prepare for a volatile regulatory environment?
I would say that this is probably a question better fit for my colleague Wes, but I'm going to give it a good shot on how to answer it. There's been so many curveballs thrown. The best thing that I've heard lately that kind of gave me a little push to keep going, because I always hit walls and need, fourth, fifth wind, is it's a marathon, not a race. A lot of people are in a race, and like what Wes touched on before is people are so quick to try and get a return on investment on these unrealistic multi-million-dollar loans in one single state. And I think that if you're going to be prepared for this, you just need to understand that this is a proving grounds right now, and you need to just be able to survive. And so the best thing I can say is just roll with the punches and expect that there's going to be things to change. And the best thing that I could have done is be more diligent in my local government and politics. I was kind of wrapped up in a real almost physical fight with making this real. And if I could do it all over again, I would have continued my fight that I started in my senior year, creating a bill. I would have kept pushing my own bills, and I would have tried to lobby myself. So I would encourage anybody to get down into your capital and get down into your local jurisdiction and actually try and push your own agenda, because that's, especially if you have good intentions for this.
We have a Class C felony on consumption lounges, for example. So I'm on a committee to try and overturn that felony. I'm not going to wait for somebody else. I did for 4 years, and I'm tired of it. And so the Seattle Superchronic Cafe should be a thing. There should be opportunities for that. And the first things first is to go down, meet your senators, House reps, and lobby. And I did. I found that some of them were willing to submit a bill on our behalf. So I printed out 7 or 8 bills from West Hollywood to Vegas to Alaska to New Jersey. And we're just going to pick apart those bills and submit it. I'm no bill writer. I don't know anything about politics. I don't want to know about politics, but I understand that it's a dirty necessity. And so taking something that's already in existence and not having to reinvent the wheel is an easy way, candidly, to do it. And that's quick and dirty. So that's my plan, is just kind of push forward through politics. Unfortunately,
we made us politicians, right?
Yeah, we did make us politicians. Unfortunately, it's not fun, but it's a necessity.
I just wanted to add one thing. We might disagree on some specific issues, but I think one thing that's actually critically important for a really well-developed professional industry is having a strong trade organization, or a set of strong trade organizations. And I think I'll make the plug for the Washington Cannabis Business Association, which was the one that I didn't help found, but we were involved in pretty early, and we think has done a really, really good job. For example, you talk about consumption lounges, definitely on board with that. The one thing that they were able to get passed this year that I think is really good for people that are in the shops is the fact that they were able to reduce the felony, selling to a minor felony issue down to a misdemeanor, which I think is, there wasn't a lot of enforcement, but imagine you're a bud tender, you got that in the back of your mind, like, who wants to live with that? And it's just ridiculous, right? So I think one thing I'd encourage is that the actual process of politics, I don't actually think it's dirty. I think it's just difficult. People don't realize that, somebody from like Shelton, their constituency has different concerns, and what they're hearing in their ear and their experience tells them maybe something different from, somebody from downtown Seattle. And that's a process. There's a negotiation there that has to get managed, and that's the business of politics. And frankly, you really need, I think, professionals to do it, because it's very, very difficult to kind of come in and, without knowing the inside baseball and understanding the process on a really nuts and bolts level, it's hard to get this kind of concrete progress, because we're not talking about these kinds of large issues anymore that are binary, like weed is legal, weed is not. We are now talking about the rulemaking, teaching your regulator that, hey, guys, we need to be able to case pack stuff, or else it's really, really hard for cannabis companies. Why? Well, what's the big deal? Well, when I take it out of the case and have to relabel it with each individual SKU to sublot it to a store, that's an incredible amount of cost for me. And a lot of that could not be deductible because of 280E. Oh, okay, well, I get it. And it's not really doing anything for public safety. That's a whole process that has to be managed, and every step of the way has to go, kind of you just kind of keep working at it. It's really, really hard. So I'd give props to Vicky Christopherson and Waka at her team. A lot of people do great work in the industry. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I think she's done an incredible job. So I would just throw that out there to people that start a legitimate or join the legitimate trade organization that's in your state, in your area.
I fully appreciate that advice, and I just wanted to add just a small perspective is that a lot of us have been stuck in this fight that we weren't able to really get down and continue our work, like I said before, and that's a regret. I could have, loosened a little bit more of a screw, but I feel like a lot of the people who are capable of that, when they noticed that there was this moment could have, and I think this can happen where we learn from our mistakes, we get around the culture and recognize who are real brands and who, because I put it this way, there's going to be, if you're not all in, you're not in at all. And there's going to be the guys that are here with big money, and there's going to be the guys that have been here for the marathon the whole time. And there won't be much in between. And so recognize from very early on, especially because it's going to be really good for the big guys because it'll give them some turnkey platform. But just recognize who is a real asset and who's actually done really great things for the community that gives you this privilege. And then wrap around them with even sometimes just free consulting. You know how much free consulting someone like I have given? I call it seeds, and I've planted many, many seeds in this industry. Tons of them actually have danced and celebrated when we've gone through our issues, because now Daniel's son can not even have to worry about Mr. Miyagi. So it's it's a weird, this community's turned into an industry, but recognize that if the big companies come in, they just recognize who's in it for that marathon, and understand that is a huge asset to this industry too, because that's the culture. We can't get rid of the culture. We can't just slap leaves and green and everybody's favorite strain on everything to manipulate them out the gate, and then just be like, this is the culture, because then at some point this is going to be even lame to the guys who jumped in it, and they're going to be like, all right, what did we do?
And with that, we're out of time. I want to thank my guests for coming on, Jerry with Cannex Capital Group and Forefront. Thank you. I want to thank Wes Abney of the Northwest Leaf and Leafchews. Justin, I appreciate you coming out. He's with Hypeherbally. Also, him and Wes joined up for the Higher Than a Space Shuttle. And Kacey with New Frontier Data, I appreciate you being on the line with us today.
Thanks so much.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, Casey.
So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is a Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.